another analogy. I love analogies. About running into the storm. About the versus bulls versus cows, or what is it? Buffalo versus
cows.
Buffalo versus cows. So a cow will run away from the storm. What's going to happen when the storm catches up? It's going to be worse. A buffalo will run directly into the storm. They will run right through it. They will face what's coming and run right through it.
Warriors.
But what ends up happening? They get through it quicker, and then they're done with it. And they're better because of it.
Right.
Meanwhile, the cow is running with it, gets beaten, battered because they're running away from it the whole time and spend longer in it. And I do believe like that's part of why you bring it to that is because you see some sort of issue and you address it immediately. And even if it comes off as aggressively, whatever, you are addressing it and fixing that. But the other party has to acknowledge it and has to say, okay, I'm going to do this with you. We will fix this together as a team.
I think that's where it becomes.
But if the other person's running away, it's going to be even worse.
Right.
And that's essentially is what is happening. And so you have to, and that's something we all have to work on too, is because it's human nature to be defensive. It just is. But you have to think about it and say what really matters and fight it back and say, I'm going to look at myself. I'm going to focus on my own self-improvement, and I'm going to take this as positive feedback and grow from it and improve not only myself, because guess what? You're going to become more of a monster, like I said. And once you have the monster, you will have the power and ability to help others and help those near you. I'm not going to run from it and be a scared little rabbit.
Or a scared cow.
Right. Or a scared cow.
One of the things I'll say too is like, and I had this conversation and I have this conversation constantly. And I wish Donovan had a mic today because I think that you have a ton of experience in this. Am I hard to talk with?
Yes.
Why?
You are extremely direct. And we've talked about this morning with the way a lot of this country is going, a lot of people out there. And I'm not trying to get too political, but a lot of people, it's softer than it was.
That's not political.
15, 20 years ago. It is. It's truth. And a lot of people, and like I said, it's human nature to be defensive. And now everyone is protecting that feeling. And
it's all about feelings now.
Right. But you don't grow from it.
No.
You don't sit there and say, this is tough love. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to make this a positive and grow from it. I'm never going to let this happen again. I'm going to become a better person. And look, you're not going to get better overnight. Nothing's going to happen overnight. But if you don't take that and make the first step, what are you going to do?
Can I tell you a story about me personally, something that really shaped me? And in this instance, shout out Jeff Fleming. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use his name on this or not. He's big in the mortgage industry here. He's somebody I really respect. He got me into the mortgage industry, and we've talked about him in the past. But I have to say, shout out Jeff Fleming. I had a conversation with my dad today, and my dad gives a lot of great advice, but it's dad. You know what I'm saying? And he gives a lot of great advice, and my dad was extremely tough on us as kids. Like, not in a bad way though. Like in a pushing us to be the best and hold us accountable. And so I have that in me from him, and I hold everybody accountable. I also believe that I'd be a bad CEO, I'd be a bad boss, and I'd be a bad friend. Kind of like the guy at Loan Depot. He probably feels a responsibility to put this guy on the board no matter what, even without the input, because he knows it's the best decision, right?
Right.
Well, for me, I'd be a bad friend, a bad employer, a bad CEO, a bad leader of a company if I was not willing to do what was best for the company all the time, and sometimes that means tough feedback, right? So I was having a conversation with my dad, and my dad said the same thing that you did. You and I had talked about it 4 hours earlier. He said, this world is getting soft. These people who are sometimes a little bit younger, it seems like they feel like they come out and they are owed or they deserve something. And that was one of the words that was used, deserve. You don't deserve anything, right? You have to earn it. Does that mean people should be harsh, cruel, or mean to you? No, it doesn't. I don't believe that. You have to earn it. You know why Donovan has his job? He reached out to me via email and said, hey, I'm going to school full time, but I'm going to be able to do this job. Here's what my resume is. I want this job. He came in and interviewed. He had the job before he walked in the door because out of everybody who applied, I'm talking hundreds of people who applied for his position, he went out and earned it by contacting me directly. And what happened is I then got it to Liz. We set up and then I hired, he'll have a microphone next week and he'll tell you this. I offered him the job before he walked out of the door.
Yeah.
Even if he knows nothing, and there's been learning experiences, I believed by his actions, he was willing to work his butt off and earn the position. I didn't give a damn about anything else other than somebody wanting to be here and wanting to be the best. And by reaching out, that's what he showed me. Plain and simple. Do you know, I wish people would reach out and say, hey, I want a job doing that. Now, we have budgets, and if it's not an LO role, it's a lot harder for us to bring in a bunch of operations people. But what we were looking for on that job post and reaching out, there were several other people who did something as far as they would LinkedIn message me. He found my email and personally emailed me. The effort to do, he earned it. He didn't deserve it. He earned it. So when I heard I deserve was the first words, and I've told you this, if the first words out of your mouth are to say somebody else's name or to say something about you, you're probably starting the conversation on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this isn't going to be a fit. I'm just like, this isn't going to work because, as soon as I hear I deserve, I don't deserve anything. You don't. Donovan doesn't. We have to earn it. What have you done for me lately? That's it. What have you done for me lately? And I've even told Donovan, hey, hold me accountable. If I'm supposed to be doing an article on TikTok or if I'm supposed to be, tell me when I'm not. Hold me accountable for my actions. Even if you think it's going to be and I know I need to be held accountable for a couple of days of actions. I wasn't feeling good, Donovan. I'm sorry. But, you get what I'm saying? So I think that it's very tough to be at the top because you're making the decisions, but you want people around you who want to be there. I've asked you 100 times, Ben, and how many times have I asked you, do you really want to be a part of it? Because there's a growing portion of owning a business.
For 10 months now, 9 months now.
I've stopped asking.
Yeah.
Have I stopped asking?
Yeah.
When was the last time I've said it?
About a month or so. I don't know.
It's probably been about a month and a half to 2 months because you started making drastic improvement in your everyday demeanor, production, just this podcast alone. Again, Donovan, how much better is he talking at this podcast? He said a long way. We got to get him a mic.
Yeah, we do.
But I have to see people trying. I don't give a damn if you don't. I don't give a damn if you make a mistake. But when I see you not trying, that's when I start getting frustrated. Like when you would say you would do stuff, and is it okay if we talk about this?
Sure.
You would say to me, hey, I'm going to knock out this process. I'll have it done by Wednesday. And then Friday rolls around. It's still not done. It wasn't frustrating to me that maybe the process would have been wrong. It was frustrating that you said that you would do it. There was no effort to get it done, and it just was not there. And we're 2 days past deadline. And then we would ask about it, and it wouldn't be there. You know what I'm saying? But then we resolved those issues, and we figured out, hey, what do we need to do to actually get this done? We brought in some person for help because you were overwhelmed, and you communicated that, and you've realized communication is key, and you have to wave the white flag. And also part of business and being a leader in business is delegating.
Absolutely.
Imagine if I was trying to do all the social media.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have time. Like, it's a full-time job. So it's just, you got to learn to delegate. It's a hard position being at the top. It's kind of lonely sometimes. Nobody understands, and nobody gives a fuck. Gives a crap, right? Nobody cares. Why would they care? What is that old saying? 80% of people don't care, and 20% of people are happy to see you going through it.
So I want to read a quote about, you keep bringing up leadership and everything like that, and I think this is very fitting, and it helped me a ton. It says, great leaders are not the best at everything. They find people who are the best at different things and get them all on the same team.
Right.
That is leadership in the nutshell.
I agree 1,000%.
It's the communication of that. And that's something that I believe, like, personally has helped me a ton, is just putting out there, oh, we're a team. Like, I don't have to do it all on my back. That's not a team.
That's a ball hog.
Yes. But it's not even looking at it as a ball hog, but you ultimately are doing that. You're hurting everyone by trying to do too much because you're putting too much on your shoulders, saying, I want to be a leader, lead by example. I'm going to do way more than I have the capacity to do. Find a way to make it work, even though it's impossible to make work.
Right. And then you're hurting everybody else.
Yes.
So let me get back to the Jeff Fleming story. So I talked to my dad and he said, this world's getting soft, right? Jeff Fleming was one of my first leaders in the mortgage industry, and I didn't really like my first job in the mortgage industry. You all have to start somewhere. But I was a top producer in it.
Yeah.
You were on my team.
Yeah.
And I was showing up late. I would show up like 3 minutes late, 5 minutes late, 7 minutes late. One day I showed up at 9:01. And he called me out in front of the entire team and told me, I don't care if you're a top producer, you need to start showing up. And then he was really hard on me. Like, he was really hard on me, almost like a big brother. That's why I think I respect him so much. People ask me all the time, I'm like, he's like a big brother I never had. And I went to my dad and I was complaining. I was probably 23-ish, 24 at the time. Young, stupid, real stupid. 20-year-olds, you're dumb. Like, you don't know it. You'll recognize it in your 30s. But 20-year-olds,
you're never going to admit it.
You are dumb. You won't admit it today because you don't think you are. You think you know everything. You learn in your 20s, you make money in your 30s. That's my saying. For me, I was stupid and stubborn and hard-headed. Was I not?
Yeah.
Something had to change. And he held me accountable. I went to my dad and I was complaining. And my dad had the opportunity to let me off the hook. He could have let me off the hook. He could have been like, yeah, Jeff's being an ass. My dad knew Jeff as well. And he said, he's absolutely right. Start showing up to work on time. Wait, hold on. Somebody held me accountable? My parents held me accountable? That was great fathering, right? Like, you have an opportunity here. He gave you an opportunity. You might be the top producer. You're a leader because you are the top producer and you're showing up 5 minutes late. What are you doing? I remember I was mad at my dad for that. But he held me accountable, which he did his whole life. His whole life of raising me, he held me accountable no matter what it was. To this day, he still does, and we still butt heads at times. It is what it is. But it's a good thing to do. So, hey, you had somebody who cared enough to hold you accountable, but you deserve what now? Right? Like,
right.
You don't know what you walked out on.
No.
So it is hard being the CEO. It is hard being the top, but you are making decisions and you're trying to do what's best for people, even when they don't see it's what's best for them. How many conversations did you and I have? And you probably didn't recognize the first 8 months of this business, we'd have conversations.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't recognize, and I think you're starting to see some of it now.